Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this first session of A Matter of Life and Death, a Cyberpunk 2020 campaign. Here with me there are Cine Chris, Kate Moore,
Hi.
Ghost Terminal, and Smirk. They are my test subject players.
Oh, great. I'm a guinea pig.
Okay.
Yes, and I welcome everybody here. Just before going into the first introduction of the game itself and everything else, a little bit of a disclaimer. If you follow me already, you might know that English is not my first language, so I apologize from now if sometimes I derp out of the English and words don't come to my head or to my mouth, or sometimes I say things in a funny way. So for that type, you're more than happy to joke about it, and and like everybody does. But bear with me, I'll try to be as professional as possible. Second thing, this is my first attempt on doing things like this, and I hope everything goes well. And please do not expect massive production. I have pictures and I have good friends here, and we're gonna try to have fun playing a game that I am very fond of. Third disclaimer, Metal Parky in chat is gonna be my mod for the night. Um, I apologize from now if I don't react, if anything happens in follows or other things that might happen, like with big alert. The alert will still play, and I will maybe do a thumbs up. Thank you, Lilia. Uh, I'm gonna make sure that I do a thumbs up if anything awesome is happening in chat. But most of the times, all the admin stuff of the stream is gonna be held and be maintained by Metal Parky here. So it's not that I'm ignoring you, it's that I want to try to avoid the breaking of the flow of everything else. Um, Said that, let's start. And I'm gonna start with an extract of the manual of Cyberpunk 2020 provided by the kind Tassorian production. So this is an introduction of what Cyberpunk is for those that actually don't know anything about it. So, you want to be a cyberpunk, or maybe just look like one. Let's start with a little bit of story before. History books can tell you in detail about the crash of 1994, when the euro combines established the World Stock Exchange, and the economies of the United States and all Soviet Russia collapsed. In those days, both were ranked as superpowers, instead of a couple of overarmed second-raters waving nuclear weapons around under the watchful eye of the Eurospace Defense Agency. As long as the Tycho mass drivers are ready to throw rocks at Moscow and Washington, we'll probably avoid having the nuclear war everyone has been expecting since 1944. After all, rocks are kinda cheap. Now, of course, everything is more or less run by the corporations, which are pretty much governments in themselves. You can go anywhere on one passport. One world is at best. The currency of most nations are stabilized to each other, and the euro dollar is a world currency. Hardly anyone complains anymore about corporate lifetime contracts or the abolition of unions. It is kind of the price of having a sort of living in a stable society. After all, you could be living in the project, 16 people in an apartment, sharing ration chips every week to buy food, with 8,000 apartments per city block. Sure, it isn't the best life, what, but with all it is happening outside and living in the street, probably it is a price you can pay easily. Here's one little bit more background about the cyberpunk movement. When the grand old masters of the movement, the cyberpunk movement, first started writing the cyberpunk genre, they assumed that most of the things that they wrote about either never happened or wouldn't happen. No one knew that West Germans were already developing organic circuitry in the late 1980s, or that the United States Air Force was developing mentally controlled weapon system. Synthetic biomuscles fibers were just starting to be used to control prosthetics, and very few people could project ahead into the 1990s when organic chip arm and legs would be possible. There were a few primitive experiments with bioengineering, things like frostburn, and a very few types of corn something, like a bioengineer animals that we'll use to terraform the Martian colonies. It took about 15 years for the new tech to catch up with the vision. First, the military started using cyber technology to create perfect soldiers and pilots. Some of the spin-off led to prosthetic limbs, eyes, and other body parts. Organic circuitry led to direct hookups between men and computers, combined with advanced telecommunication technology and satellite downlinks, the basis for the now planet-wide net. As each new technological advancement slammed into peace, a sort of cultural technoshock set in. And technoshock is a quite an interesting word. Is when technology outstrips people's ability to comprehend or fit into their lives. Suddenly people freak out, they get irrational, violent, families shatters, relationships tear apart, people feel helpless in the face of the universe. Eventually, the whole society grinds to a halt, the victim of mass psychosis. That's what we call now the collapse. There were three major responses to the technoshock. The vast majority of people, their lives are uprooted and changed by the advancement, sat passively waiting for the leaders to tell them what to do next. One smaller group tried to turn back the clock, founding the basis for what we call the Neo-Luddite movement. The remaining group, they decided to hit the future head-on with the old 1980s visionary writing on their guide. They established the movement we now call Cyberpunk. Okay, so now you're probably ready. As a cyberpunk, you grab a technology by the throat and then gone. You're not afraid to check out the newest announcement, cybertech and bioengineering. You've got interface plugs in your wrist, weapons in your arms, lasers in your eyes, biochip programs in your brain. You become the car you drive, the gyro you fly, the guns you shoot. You drive headfirst into the net, using your mind to hurtle at light speed all over vast data network of data. With cyber forged fingers, you pick computers locks. With enhanced senses, you see into the future. Cyberpunk is also an attitude. You wear the most in clothes, know the right people and follow the right crowds. You plan your crimes in the most select clubs and bars. Your enemies are corporate armies, cyborg bike gangs, power armored assassin, and computer wired netheads. Your weapons are nerve, street smarts, bravado, and sometimes a smart gun is always nice to have on your side. Now you probably understand what cyberpunk is. So that's what is the world, guys. It's a tough world, and it's a world that doesn't go back and that doesn't look at you with you know decency. So in all this, everything starts, the core center of everything that starts is we are in Night City. What is Night City? Well, Night City is a moderately sized city located in the west coast to the United States. It has a population of about 5 million in the greater Night City area, with the majority living in sprawling suburbs to the southwest. The city itself lies on a large bay, surrounded by several small sub-cities and suburban communities: Westbrook, Highwood, Pacifica, South Night City. Years of pollution, neglect, and one of the most corrupt government in the world have reduced most of these cities to cluttered, semi-deserted sprawls, with burned out homes, empty shopping malls, and rampant street crime. And here is where we start our journey. Um, None of the people currently here in this group know each other. They all have their own life. They all had their own past. And they had a life with troubled events that we might discover through the course of the adventure. We might not. We will see. It depends if they would like to open themselves or they want to keep ace in the sleeves or secrets from other people. That's all regarded to them. But there's one common things that is going to happen to every single one of them. Regardless of where you live at the moment in your characters, you hear a doorbell ringing. And when you open the door, there's only one thing that you see on the doorstep left there for you. There is what looks like a credit card size piece of plastic. Looks like a scan card, the one you use in hotels sometimes. And there's a symbol on this credit card, this pass, a sort of pass, yes, let's call it pass. There is the Greek letter omega. I know you are familiar, is the one that does like that. Omega. And an address. Nothing else. You woke up in the morning and that's the only thing that happened to you at the moment. So I'm going to start to go to Jacob here and ask him.
Jacob, get right.
Jacob. Perfect.
So, I won't be putting on the accent because I'm coming down with a cold.
That's perfectly fine. So you open the door of your shelter.
Shelter.
And that's the first thing you see in the door. I'm going to go through every one of you guys to see your reaction on that. So let's find first. Jacob.
Well, first of all, thanks for getting it right.
You're welcome.
Jacob picks up the card, glances at it, walks back inside.
Yeah, the card you picked up, it feels like it is like a
what does
pass.
It say on it? What does it say on it? You said it's an address. What's the address?
There's only one address, which is the address of a building in the center of Night City. And I'm going to pop up now the map.
Awesome.
So bear with me, I'm still new on this thing. So this, drag it here. And then
I need to zoom in on that.
I'm zooming it for you.
Oh.
There we go. This is the center of Night City, and I'm going to add another one of the map so you can actually understand where it's located.
Cool.
So this is the main area that we are going to peruse Night City. This detail that you see on your right side, guys, is what is considered the corp center close-up. The little circle in the center. And the address that you find is for building number 12 of the minimap, which is West City Tower. And the only other thing is the symbol Omega.
Okay.
So you flip around the card and you see that is clearly something that can be inserted as a pass. It's something electronic. It's thin, but has some weight. It's not simply the weight of a credit card. There's probably some chips inside.
Okay. So whilst looking at the card and sipping from a coffee,
Hmm.
Jakob thinks to himself, okay. Immediately gets his clothes on and walks out
Okay.
and makes his way to the building.
Okay. Kay, you're next. Outside your again shelter, I'm
And
assuming.
he walks the whole way.
He walks the whole way. Okay. So, Katie, up for you the same thing. Outside your door, same card. What you do?
Well, suppose. Scan the damn thing. Could be what, I don't know. I've made a lot of enemies in the past. I don't know who this is from.
Yeah. Well,
But,
the scanning with your basic tools reveals that it is indeed an access card, an access key. It is either for a door or for an elevator.
well, usually these mean money, so of course I'm interested. How are you going to make money out in this,
Hmm.
we don't live, we just roam. But, yeah, I'll go. Something to do, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've got no jobs on. I'll
perfect.
go. So, yeah,
Okay.
just pack up my bag. Well, not much to me. Get on my bike and go.
Okie dokie. Um, Vern, you're next. You have an apartment. You live quite a decent life in your apartment, and usually there's quite a bit of security, so you don't get unwanted visits. And it's quite weird that you just received something at your door, and whoever dropped it there has basically disappeared.
Well, two things are apparent. One, she's immediately on the phone calling security downstairs to see if there's any availability on the feed of who dropped off this.
Uh,
Two,
mhm,
two, she's scanning the hall
okay.
and immediately recognizes the card as a form of key.
Hmm.
Given her background, this wouldn't be rare for her, but it's extremely suspicious given her past circumstances right now. And she would immediately load her gun and get dressed,
Okay.
waiting for a call on her cell to find out about that feed.
Okay. Um, right. So the response from the hall, they quickly go through the feed of the cameras and everything else, elevators or other things. Nothing shows anything, and they even have additional security control in terms of if somebody is spiking the feed with other pre-recorded films, but there isn't any sort of manipulation. There is nobody coming in, and there is nobody coming out.
All right, so immediately even more suspicious because that means high-end technology that either isn't on the streets yet or is about to be announced for the streets. So this is very dangerous. Will pack up what few weapons she can conceal underneath her trench coat and head to the address because she's looking for information.
Okay.
This may be the information.
The additional thing you realize by looking at the card is that you have quite of an experience in terms of corporations and generally the people that occupy the corp center of Night City, and you never heard of anything remotely called Omega or having the symbol Omega as a mark.
Gotcha.
Um, Brandon Miller. I was trying to find your name and I couldn't find it. Okay. You you kind of share the same type of lifestyle of our Vern. So again, for you is quite high buildings and you live quite high also in the floor, and for you it is quite weird to have been woken up in the morning and just this in the floor on the floor waiting for you.
Yeah, I'd know that the address is in that district in that building, though, wouldn't I? So I know
Yes.
it's in the corporate district. All right. Well, I guess Brandon would pick up the card, just look up and down the hallway just to see if there was anybody watching him. Close the door.
Okay.
Go and get ready and get dressed into his best high fashion outfit. Nice angular cuts.
Okay.
Side buttons on his coat. So instead of attaching to the front, it's attaching to the side, making himself prepared to go and deal with what he assumes is a corporate consultancy gig. He puts his long hair up into a top knot. It just making sure that his incense in his building, in his little living room at his meditation zone is put out. Picks up his car keys to his Chevrolet and goes down and drives to the corporate district to investigate.
Okay. The same thing for you. You've been in and about corporation, and you actually never heard of anything again called um, Omega or having any symbol related to Omega.
Sure.
So the trip for all of you guys is medium length for where you live. So for somebody is like um, I have to get used to this. Like Vern and Brandon is quite short because you live quite, in a good area. I believe that Brandon lives in B4, which is the medical center, so you have that type of connection. And I think you, Vern, you live around B3, so the type of residential areas. We're gonna investigate much more about, later on about this. I believe that Jakub and Oder live quite outside. So it takes a little bit. You have a bike, or you probably take the public transport, Jakub.
No, I walk.
You walk, you walk. Perfect. Okay. So
A short
you
blast.
you arrive at different times. So you end up not actually seeing each other. And the first to arrive is Brandon, because he's one of the actually Brandon and Vern arrives almost at the same time, but you still miss each other. The first thing that you see, it is quite a tall building, and it has over 100 floors. You don't know exactly the number because you've never been on this building in particular. At the door there is an usher and stays in front of the door and look outside and basically patrols the start of the entrance of the building. So let's start with Vern. What you do?
After careful inspection, well, surveillance around the building, she approaches, dressed in long trench, typical business casual attire under the trench with armor over that, but it's sort of hidden by the coat. Her gun is hidden as well. Approaches and flashes the card immediately.
You flash the card immediately. The usher, without batting an eye, points inside the building and say to you, elevator L, and doesn't say anything else.
Okay. While scanning the interior, watching for cameras that are likely there, she walks to the elevator and confidently presses the
The path to the elevator, you notice that most of the inside of this building is occupied by offices. There isn't malls or anything else. The other tower, which is number 6, the one that overlook tower number 12, is more like a lot of shopping mall and everything else, so like shops. This is more a corporate
Can I ask a
building.
question?
Yes.
How much traffic is here at this time of day?
You arrive around probably, I will say 10 a.m. in the morning. There is some movement. There are workers, there are office employee going in and out other elevators.
So I can walk in without necessarily anyone batting an eyelash, right?
Exactly. The curious thing is nobody actually heads toward the elevator L.
Okay.
And when you are inside the elevator L, there isn't any button, but just the slid for the card.
Okay. So I would still confidently put the card in the slot and pray. I don't.
Pray. Okay. Brandon, what do you do? You arrive, I will say, half an hour after. Because
Sure.
the half an hour basically for you was getting ready.
Yep. After parking the car, I'd take out his. He'd take out his medical bag, just in case he doesn't know what this could entail exactly. So carrying that makes his way to the building. The usher, I assume he sees the same usher?
Yes, it is the same usher.
Yeah. He approaches him and says, "Hi, I'm here to see Omega."
He looks quite distant in his reply. And he does a little bit of a smirk. And then he points the same elevator as previously, elevator L. Doesn't say much again. And just points you to the elevator L.
In his distance, is that just, do I pick up that he doesn't like his job, or is he more robotic than what I would expect from a person?
You probably, what you pick up is the fact that you might have just openly said the name of what you were looking for instead of just showing the pass.
Okay. In that, thank you very much. And I'll head off to elevator L.
Yes.
Have a look, insert the card, and make my way to wherever the elevator takes me.
Yes. And I'm gonna move. Next one is gonna be Oder with a bike. There's parking spot in front of the building.
Well, because of her nature, she wouldn't ever park in front of where she was.
Okay.
She parks the bike a few blocks away and walks
Okay,
around just so
fair
that
enough.
she can get a good. I mean, she'd spend a good half hour maybe walking around, just trying to find the unconventional exits.
Okay.
Front door, back door, fire doors. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
That's all fairly standard.
Yes.
She wants that
looks,
window that someone strategically left open on the ground floor, etc.
Yeah. Your exploration of the bottom floor, of course, or the ground floor, reveals normal security exits, but of course they are open also only from the inside, not guarded. But you try to see if they are open, and of course they don't budge an inch. So the only entrance seems to be the main entrance.
She walks over to the usher without saying anything, just hands him the card.
You show the card, and again, same kind of reaction as I've seen for the other guys. He just points to the direction of the elevator L and just stay silent for the rest and just look away from you and keep scouting out the street and the internal park where the building is. Almost ignoring you after giving you the information where the elevator is.
And she sizes him up, just just as a precaution. Walks in. While walking to the elevator, scans around, but always keeping her right side away from people, and scanning with her left eye.
Okay.
Walks over to the elevator with her back to it, presses the button, and waits for it to turn up.
Yeah. Earlier, as I said earlier, basically the elevator activates with the card, and inside the elevator, only the card has a slot. Nothing else. No buttons. Nothing else inside. The elevator itself is pretty standard. Steel walls and nothing else. Very bare. There's no poster. There's not even the classical elevator music.
As she steps in, always stepping in and checking again before the doors close. Make sure that her weapon of choice is at close reach.
Cool. Jakub, you're the last one arriving. You probably arrive around 11 after 1 hour from the first one arriving here. So you arrive in the plaza, and you see
Jakob
the giant.
circles the building 3 times.
Okay, good. Making sure.
Each time making eye contact with the usher.
Okay. The usher looks at you the first time, but the second and third time he just scouts out like normal activities he does by
Right.
by being an usher.
So Jakob has his hands in his pockets. In his right hand pocket is his Colt, loaded.
Okay.
In his left, the key card.
Okay.
He walks up to the usher, stares him in the face for a few seconds, pulls out the card, and walks in.
Okay. You walk in, and the moment you pass the door, excuse me, sir. You know where you're going?
Yes, I know where I'm going.
You might be looking perhaps to a specific place.
Yes. Shows the card.
So you might want to actually have a check on elevator L. And
thank you.
The
L.
voice is some of the coldest voice you ever heard.
Well, that's not surprising because Jakob smells like he's probably not taken a shower in a month.
Okay. It's not a robotic voice. It's not a mechanical voice, but it's one of those flat voices. Imagine Professor Snape type of monotone voice.
Got it.
Okay.
He looks back after walking past the usher, gives him a very dirty look, and carries on.
Okay. You activate the elevator with the card, and the lift speed, it is pretty high, and you kind of feel that your stomach currently is at the level of your ankles for the acceleration that it does. But what it takes probably 5-6 seconds, it stops with a very smooth stop. It's not a sudden stop, and the elevator opens, and you see a glass door in front of you, and this is what you all see now, and I'm gonna say why.
So the others have just been stood there?
The others, I was going to update everything. You basically have been in a waiting room for the last hour, roughly. Everybody of you. So everybody that came earlier before you got into the lift, got up. The glass door was open, and there was a waiting room in there. So you see all the other 3 at the moment sitting there waiting for something. Some looking around suspicious, especially when you turn up as the 4th. But you all 4, in different moment, of course, when you firstly arrived, kept for yourself. You didn't much interact with any other people that was arriving little by little, into the room. The room is quite large, so it's not that you are compressed into a small room and it is, you know, uh, forced cohabitation. There are quite spread chairs across this room, but it's clear when somebody arrives. Everything looks very aseptic. It's like an hospital. Everything is white. Strong neon lights illuminate this place. There's no decoration on the walls. The chairs are metal chairs, and table is metal table bolted to the floor. And the only thing you see is, of course, the glass door you come from that had the Omega symbol, and another metal door, double door, in front of you that has again the Omega symbol on top. That's all you see. Other people have been here waiting for like an hour. You just came out here, Jakub. So this is how you meet first, guys. So tell me in order, Brandon, what you do when you see people starting to come, and of course the last one comes in, and I'm gonna go past again Brandon, Vern, Order, and Jakub as the order of appearance.
Sure. I guess every time that somebody else comes up, Brennan would stand up from where he's sitting and offer his hand and introduce himself as Brandon Miller and
Okay.
inquire if they were the patient.
So you're Vern, you are the first one that Brandon sees. So you see this smart-looking, dressed man introducing himself and asking if you are the patient.
This is fantastic. I would walk into the room and survey the room and the gentleman in front of her as well, nod at his introduction and look down at his hand, and then walk to the opposite side of the room. This is not the agenda she came here for. It's not cold. She's not trying to be cold. She knows there's other business here. She's not here to.
Okay.
Are you perhaps the client then?
Can I answer it directly?
Yeah, you can answer directly. Yes.
I'm guessing we're here for the same reasons.
You're
What's going on?
You're a medical consultant as well then? What's your speciality?
She gives a heavy sigh, rolls her eyes. My speciality is in death.
A mortician, I see.
She officially walks away.
Okay. So Vern walks away, sits in another place, remaining a little bit puzzled by this situation. Then, after a little bit, Order comes in, and of course, you see this situation, and you see Vern sat in a corner, and a very friendly Brandon trying to introduce himself again to you and saying, "Here you go."
Hi there, my name's Brandon Miller. Are you the patient?
No, but I can make you a patient if you really want one. She's she would shake your hand though, just to kind of get a gauge on, I guess, maybe how strong you were in case.
Yeah, I mean, like it. Yeah, the handshake is just general, nice handshake. There's no overexertion or power play. It's no sort of corp magic power play handshake at all.
Okay.
No, it's all a bit too clinical for she's not particularly comfortable in places, but well, she's not a fan of the city in general. there might be money, so she's here. And scanning around.
Okay.
Again, keeping her
yeah.
keeping her left eye to people and her right eye away.
Okay. So last but not the least, Jakub comes to the floor, and you see the scene in front of you.
Hi, my name's Brandon Miller. Comparatively, I would assume you're the patient?
They did not check for weapons.
No.
Patient?
Yes, are you in need of medical assistance of any sort?
No.
Okay.
They did not check for weapons.
No. He keeps repeating, did not check for weapon.
Yeah?
Well, I typically don't bring a weapon in the corporate district. It tends to be pretty well secure. What about the rest of you?
You
Do
can
you see a weapon on me?
Jakub flashes his Colt, puts it back in his pocket.
Oh, wait. Can we do this? Hang on. Vern does the same thing. It's just on the opposite side.
Okay.
You do it from as far away in the room as possible.
Yes.
Odd.
Jakub mutters under his breath, "Mine bigger." I don't actually know what weapon you have.
I believe we both carry the same Colt, so, but mine's
Mine
prettier.
bigger.
Okay. After probably 10 minutes after Jakub is the last one coming in and you do this introduction among yourself, the double door in front of you, the metallic one, opens, and out of it you see a woman coming out, protected by two guards, and the guards are quite heavily armored and heavily weaponed. So they have a giant gun. It's probably an assault rifle they have. And
So theirs is bigger.
Yeah, theirs is clearly bigger. They wear what looks to be a protection of Kevlar around all the body, but it looks like some sort of military grade battle armor, some sort of. It's the ones you see in the army in the most critical area of war zones. The woman is fairly attractive woman, dressed in a very precise suit. Nothing in her clothing is out of place. Perfect makeup, perfect everything. It just literally is what you expect the top corporate of an agency to look like. Welcome. My name is Janine Seifert, and welcome to Omega. Don't be alerted by these guards next to me. They are just here for my personal security in case we made the wrong choices. I am pretty sure that you have a lot of questions, and I would be very happy to answer all your questions if you just follow me in the next room where I could take care of your personal belongings, because after the next door only our guards will carry weapons. What do you do, guys?
Vern is actually not surprised by this introduction. It is actually very comfortable in this environment, as she is sort of used to it. They wouldn't know that, though. She's willing to free up her weapons, as it were, and nods and walks forward to hand over her weapons.
Okay. Anybody else? What you do, guys? Brandon?
Yeah, I'd make my way as well where I'm being instructed. I open up the bag and just show inside. It's just medical gear. There are no weapons in there. Is it possible
Bandages
to?
and lollies.
Well, the cyberpunk equivalent of air compressing syringes and staple guns to stitch skin back together with synthetic staples. Um, so, is it okay if I take my?
Well, for precaution, we will just leave everything in here. Everything will be returned, so don't worry about your personal belongings. Everything will be tagged and put in a locker just for when you finish your visit or our compound.
Okay, sure.
Order?
Well, I'd scan over the guards just to see if it was worth it. Decides it isn't. No, it's too many. Slides a knife out from her sleeve, pulls another one out of her boot, passes both of them over, obviously handle side because it's only polite, and moves over towards the wall away from everyone else.
Okay, cool. Jakub?
Jakob hands his Colt over.
Okay.
Says, remember, mine bigger.
Clearly. The two guards don't really have any emotion shown, also because they wear like a full helmet, so you can actually see their faces. But you see a smirk on Janine's face. And after all this has been done, she said, well, now you can follow me and we can start to have a little bit of a chat. So the guards actually stays into this storage room, and she opens another door and she asks you to follow in. And whenever you follow in, the door then closes uh, behind you guys, and you see what looks like to be a conference table with several chairs, but you need only 4 of you plus her. And in front of her, in front of the giant table, there is a holo screen. And in this holo screen, you see slowly appearing the silhouette, just a silhouette of what looks like to be a male figure sat at a desk. And there's a broad American accent in here. Probably what sounded to be like an old Texan accent. And you're here. I'm sorry. Welcome to Omega, guys. You're here because we think you have the potential to become great agents. It doesn't introduce much, this voice. It just says these short lines, and more than likely you're thinking, agents? But the voice goes on and says, Omega is an investigation company, the last line of defense and prevention. Crimes that Night City police can't solve or too high profile and risk. We tend to try to solve them, and most of the time, we succeed. We had a thorough search of our database, and your 4 names kinda stood out. So we called you in to see if you might be interested. And if you're interested, well, there's a lot of benefits of being part of our agency. Lots of risks, of course, but sometimes the risks outmeasure the benefits outmeasures the risk. Janine here will be more explaining to you our ethos, what we do, and how we do things. So I hope to see you soon. Maybe with a badge of our own. Have fun! And the screen disappears. So I'm gonna go in opposite order now to check your personal reactions. So Jakub.
This is not fun. Who was that man?
That man is our boss.
His name?
Richard Roman III.
Okay.
You never heard of this name, ever?
Who were the first two?
That's a question that you might ask to him if you want to. Richard tends to keep his private life, private. And she does a little bit of a laugh. Oda, your reaction to this?
Another very strange exec. That's pretty standard. Sounds like there's money involved. So yeah.
Well,
guess I'm in, but it depends how much and if it's worth it.
Well, Jenny intervene on this question. Well, our agents, due to the risk they usually are exposed to, they are worthily paid. And as I said earlier, as Roman said earlier, the rewards are quite interesting. So if it is the rewards that you're after, surely we can work out something.
Yeah, as long as I get my knives back, then yeah.
Then?
And my gun.
And your gun
is bigger.
Okay. Yes, it's clearly bigger.
He's established.
Yeah, Janine said yes, it's clearly bigger. We saw that. So, then.
Two things stand out.
Mm-hmm.
One, I've never heard of this name or this corporation before, and I'm fairly connected. So you're either brand new, money, or you're branching off from somebody else. Two, it doesn't stipulate this is a permanent contract for everybody. So is this a test?
Well, I can actually answer to both of your questions. We existed for the last, I would say, 25 years. And the reason why you probably never heard of us is because we tend to keep our business very, how can I say, secretive.
Okay, so that means not necessarily above the board contracts.
No, well, when we hire somebody like you guys, it is tend to be not a one-shot contract. Let's call it like that.
Okay.
It is something that is more a long-term.
Until we die.
Well, yes, of course, but we hope that doesn't happen. And I see where you're going. Let me explain one thing. We are not like, I don't know, Yakuzas or other corporation that
Okay. Yeah.
you want to get out, then you can't. There's always ways in which you can retire on your terms. As not
Fair
something
enough.
that is imposed by anybody. There is no There's no threatening about it, and the moment you decided you had enough, you're free to go. The only thing that we ask you, of course, to sign is non-disclosure agreement.
All right. So
And
Vern, for personal reasons, would be interested in this. I just want to stipulate, though, that right now she's pulling long dreads back into a tight ponytail and looks about ready to get down to business. She's
okay,
very focused on what you're saying.
okay. The non-disclosure agreement, of course, is for our personal safety in here in this building, and for your personal safety, because let's say that this non-disclosure agreement is a very tight one. You can't get out in nice terms if you break it. And her face becomes very serious when she said this last thing. So it is something that you can catch probably from her expressions. It's something that they don't
Can
like
I
to
ask a
do.
question?
Yes.
So this is straightforward exclusivity. I can't take freelance jobs on the side, or would that be considered a threat to?
Uh, we would like you to not hinder the job with us with side project. You might want to, you might take side project if you wish to, as long as they don't impact in your activity with us, and as long as you don't have revealing who we are and where we are.
Okay, fair enough. I'm interested.
Okay, Brandon, up to you.
Yeah. Looking, he looks back. Can we see those two guards still that were
they are
flanking her?
they are outside the door, and
Okay.
there's not, it's not even a glass door. It's just a steel door, and everything else is very aseptic. Is very like a hospital.
Okay.
It's very white.
Is Omega for hire cyber squad?
Sorry, what again?
So he's asking to see if they're a cyber squad, basically the super heavily armed and armored people who hunt down cyberpsychosis, cyber criminals, cyber technical criminals, basically who've gone crazy.
Yes, we have from time to time contract like this, and but in general we deal, as I said, as my boss said earlier, we deal with threats to Night City and the country most of the times that normal police or government regulations can't deal with,
So including those
including those.
experiencing cyberpsychosis. Okay.
Yes.
Sure. I'm interested. I'd like to know what you want from me particularly.
Well, your expertise as a psychologist in this type of situation, and also your experience in with dealing with such issues is quite remarkable, and we actually are missing somebody currently with your skills, with your abilities, and we thought that you might be a great addition to our team.
I see. Well, I'm happy to hear you out and read your contract and take it under advisement for sure.
Um, from the very serious and almost granite face that she was pulling while um, describing all these duties and tasks, she ended up with a big smile, and she said, "Great, then we can proceed now." And she, under the table, she take out 4 clipboards with the non-disclosure agreement, and hands one to each of you.
is there any reference to compensation for signing this non-disclosure agreement and having exclusivity to our skill set in this document?
Right. So the form is very standard for all of you guys. You read the contract and it seems like reasonable stuff all through it. When you reach the end, there is a part of this that kind of makes you a bit nervous. It's the part that says, in case of breaking of the non-disclosure agreement, extreme measures will be taken.
What sort of extreme measures?
Again, the face of Janine goes a bit flat. Granite face, granite smile. There's no smile anymore. Well, you become a liability for us, and we don't like liabilities, so we tend to.
So you tried to kill us.
We try to put to silence.
Try being the operative word.
We try to put
Try.
to silence, but we are very good at it.
Not good enough, I think.
Feels like a challenge.
I
Well,
like a challenge.
well, we shall see. But I don't think you will have, after you see what we can do together, I don't think you will be willing to break this non-disclosure agreement.
I have a question. She holds her hand up casually.
Yes, please.
Are there bonuses to said projects? Or are we getting a flat rate?
There are always bonuses according to how good the task has been held and handled. Sorry. We offer quite a high standard of living to all of you, even to those and looks at Odr and Odr and Jakub, even to all those that might have not live in a nicer way. She tried
You can actually afford a bath.
She tried to put it nicely, without offending or doing anything. She just tried to be nice, saying, "You're probably gonna get a better house out of this, or a better lifestyle in general."
Can I ask one more question?
Sure. I'm here for this.
Are we essentially going to be put together as a team, or we'll be working with other freelancers?
More than likely, your skills will be put together as a team working on tasks. Yes.
Vern looks across the table. Very suspicious.
Jakob looks at Vern equally suspiciously.
Okay.
I know, it's still bigger.
Good. We are in agreement.
Oda's just trying not to laugh.
Okay. Well, even Janine now can't much hide the smirks and the laughing. So she's trying to stay professional.
What's wrong with a steady paycheck, folks?
Don't really need a steady paycheck when you don't live in the city, though.
Fair enough.
I get by.
You get by. So the NDA is still in front of you. Who has signed it?
Is Omega a subsidiary of any corp, or is it like privately held? Does it say in the NDA that it's part of a XYZ company group?
It is not part of any company, and actually, Janine can actually reply to you on this matter if you want to.
Sure.
And she basically say we are independent. We have ties with Arasaka and Microtech, which are the two major companies that produces armaments and the technology in general.
Mm-hmm.
And we sometimes get funds, but we act as an independent group. We don't have to. We don't have a boss. We are our own boss. We might accept contract from these companies, but we take our jobs and we manage our jobs.
Brandon nods and signs the form in all the places and initials where it's required. Returns the clipboard back and holds out his hand to Janine. And I look forward to working with you, Miss Janine.
What about Vern?
I have just a small question about
Yes.
security.
Must
Provided
you
we're
ask
actually going
questions
to be.
all the time?
I have to. I need to know these things. Jail is not a place I'm fond of.
Just sign paper.
Yes.
Will you be handling the authorities? Should they come about for any of our activities? Or are we supposed to handle that ourselves? She is signing the end of the page
Okay.
very slowly as she.
Of course, we obviously did a background check on all of you before getting you inside here, and we know that some of you have quite a troubled past. But everybody with a strong cold apparently today.
Can
Throw it
I
around.
take my piece of paper back, please?
But and whenever that paper gets signed off, we have the technology of adjusting things that
Oh, okay.
might be not perfectly squeaky clean.
My interest is piqued, and Vern hands over the clipboard with a
Okay. Order?
Well, Order had already signed it before anyone asked.
Okay, fair enough. You just signed. So, yeah, sure, whatever. Here you go.
It sounds like the same old exact job. Someone wants something doing and someone's paying money. So yeah, I'm cool with it. I'm in. Yeah, let's go. Ready.
No
Let's
problem.
talk. Let's go.
Jakub?
Jakob signs the form wherever it needs signing,
Okay.
hands it over, says, "This should be fun."
And you see a big smile in the on the face of Jadine and says, "Great, great news, great news." So let's start with I would say the boring stuff because we did a background check on you guys, but we also need to do a full medical visit on you to make sure that
say what now?
who we are hiring today is in condition, doesn't have any trouble. If there is any trouble, we can fix it, and let's move on with our collaboration, should I say.
I'm more than happy to progress. I'll just need my medical bag and then a room to see each patient.
Yes, everything will be sorted in due time, so don't worry about that. Everybody will have a space of their own in here that is adequate to your tasks and skills. Can you please follow
Oh,
me?
so the medical examination isn't my test.
Yeah, it is a medical examination for everybody. So we are examining you guys.
It's that kind of game.
It's the other kind of game, yes. So if you want to follow me in the next room, please, we can work out some very, very basic tests.
All together?
Well, one at a time, of course. It will be in different cubicles, so don't worry.
That's a shame.
Wow. So she opens the next door, and you see several cubicles, and there is a couple of what looks like doctors. They have like white coat and mask, not a gas mask, the mouth mask that a surgeon uses.
Is this because we were all coughing early?
No, it's just for security, for everything that, just in case. Just in case you're contagious. No, just joking. So the doctors basically um, point you to four different cubicles. In each of these cubicles, there is digital plate, like a screen, that is for your fingerprints. There is an eye test for the retina, and there is a little box that contains a tool for a mouth swab. So basically, they're asking you your fingerprints, your retina scan, and to swab something in your mouth and put it back into the.
So no blood tests.
At the moment, you don't see any blood test being taken.
Suspicious. So are we to separate to our own cubicles?
Yes.
And
You are basically directed into each of your own.
Vern would comply. This is not foreign to her. She has new cyber optics, night vision implants, so that would be something they would know. Everything else would be standard, I would guess.
So you have only one eye that is cyber optics.
Yes.
So the screen tells you if one eye is not cyber optic, use that for the scan.
Okay.
And this is for all of you guys. This is the same procedure for all of you. So I'm using Vern to explain what is the procedure, so you can decide what you're doing and in what order you're doing it. The fingerprint scan, it says on the tablet that you're putting your hand on, it says fingerprints replacement.
As in happening right now, or
No,
as in
it is on the screen. When you enter the cubicles, the tablet flashes with this message, and the eye scanner flashes with this message, and then basically on the little tub with the mouth swab, it says DNA sample.
Okay. Vern would go through each one methodically, also inspecting her fingertips before.
Okay. The scan of the retina is very standard. It's just do a couple of scan up and down. The mouth swab is literally a thing that you put in your mouth. You just go around a couple of times and then you put back inside and you close it. And when you close the tub, it hisses like preserving the content. And when you put your hand on the tablet, it burns a little bit, but not to create such a pain. And then you feel like your fingertip has been momentarily flattened and rewritten by a very fast laser.
Handy. Not completely foreign though, but not expected.
So Vern, this is what happens to you. So let's go for Brandon.
Sure. Is there any way, with my medical training and knowing these procedures, to know if this is a standard unit or if it's bespoke with any other extra? stuff.
2 out of 3 of the things you see here are pretty standard to you, which is
Mhm.
the retina scan and the DNA sample.
Mm-hmm.
By your knowledge, you heard that some companies and some branches of the trauma team, which is the biggest medical corporation existing, sometimes tend to tailor the, I would call them medikits. Let's call them medikits
Mm-hmm.
according to the DNA of the person. So they want to basically provide the
Yep.
perfect treatment according to your genetic code.
Got you. Yep.
The third one, which is the fingerprint one, it feels a technology that you never encountered, but is something very clever. It is not erasing your fingerprints, it's just
Mm-hmm.
basically hiding it under something else.
Got you. Does it seem like the device it's a mechanical thing, so it's putting a digital chip, so it's read differently, or is it a biological thing
It's a
where it
biological thing.
Okay, cool. So it's not a cybernetic where it's synth skin over the top, basically, but really well
Pretty
done.
much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Odo?
Okay. Yeah. In that case, I submit to all three of the procedures.
Okie dokie. Odo?
This is this a temporary prosthetic?
Well, it's gonna be as long as you're an employee here.
Okay.
Odo, what about you?
Well, she just looks at the fingerprint machine,
Mm-hmm.
puts her hands in, and back of her mind thinks, well, this is a fancy way of just burning off your fingerprint. Yeah. She's old school. She'd just sit there with a lighter. She
Fair
needed
enough.
to do it. She had, has a scan round again. Obviously not having to worry about others now, so just has a really good look round with both
Yeah,
eyes.
the cubicle again is very hospital-like, so there's not much in terms of distraction when you do this procedure.
Getting her left eye scan obviously doesn't work,
Exactly.
so scans her real eye.
Mm-hmm.
Comes up fine. She knew that. Gives her DNA sample, and then in the back of her mind just thinks, I can't actually remember the last time I saw a doctor. I should probably see one.
Jakub.
Jakob takes the tests, but checks his biomonitor afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any changes?
The biomonitor. No, there's no changes in you. No.
Okay.
The only changes is the aesthetical change of your fingerprints that you can clearly see that are different. But you feel that it's not a permanent modification.
And nothing after the retinal scan?
Nothing after the retinal scan. It feels like it literally did a scan of your retina for further purposes.
Okay.
Okay, so after all the scans are done, you go out from your cubicles, and Janine is still there waiting for you. It's fantastic. You will receive your new badges anytime during today. The retina scan is, of course, it is something, an additional security procedure to let you into other areas of this office. And of course, it will be attached, your biometric details are going to be attached to your card. The DNA sample, as probably you might have realized, is for providing the best treatment in case you get wounded. And I'm not going to lie, it's going to be probably several times according to how good you are at your job. This is a job with high risk, as I said, and high reward. And the fingerprints is another measure that we have in place here. So if you are investigating something, you don't want to be found. So we gave you some anonymous fingerprints from our database to make sure that you don't leave anything behind. Okay?
Did the donors of these fingerprints no longer live?
Good question there. They are not from either living or deceased individuals. They are created by a computer and they are engineered to look like real, but there is no actually any reference on any database of police or government agency.
So we're untraceable
You're
completely.
untraceable, exactly.
I like this.
So, follow me into the next room now. And we're gonna have a break now. We've been going on for the last hour and a half, so we're gonna be right back in 10 minutes. Okay? See you soon.
Be right
Sure.
And we are back after the break. So, first of all, thank you, Unicorn, for the raid. I was much appreciated, but as I said earlier, I couldn't say anything during the game because I was talking, so I was catching up on things. And of course, my one of my fantastic mod, Parky, did the introduction for you and the rest of the chat. Can I also have, Parky, if you can, a shout out for Cinechris, Katie, Cross Terminal, and Smirk. Smirk in chat, I'm gonna do it for you because he's hidden in the shadow again. Is Smirkulis. So if you are not following these people, please do that because they are awesome streamers and friend of mine.
I mean, everybody else is awesome.
Exactly.
That is true. This is a nice group.
So please, if you're not following them already, make sure that you send them a follow because, of course, I couldn't be doing this without these people. And this project has been started last December. So it took me nearly 6 months to be this very low.
I'm sorry. Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
None of this would be happening without you.
Okay.
So we should thank you for this. So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem, guys. Right. So let's back into, like proper.
And then I just saw what crossplay in chat.
Yeah, okay.
God damn it.
Get out of
Get out of my head.
Get out of my head.
Creepy.
But it's so spacious in here.
Exactly.
You take the stupid with you. Okay.
Okay. So, we left our wannabe heroes or employee or whatever entering a new room after the medical test. And the exact moment in which the door opened to this new room, you immediately start to hear all the typical noises of what sounds like a police station, actually. So telephone ringing, people talking, and lots of movement inside. Basically, it felt that all these walls and doors that have been dividing your journey into this building has been removing all the soundproof. Yes, thank you. My wife just suggested me the words because they weren't coming out of my mouth. Just bear with me. I need to adjust a couple of volumes here because it was quite loud. Okay. So immediately you feel you are into the police station, the noise, the movement, all the thing that happens normally. So phones ringing, people walking about, and you see a variety of different ethnicity, genders of agents. They all in a big melting pot of everything. So it is quite a very large selection of individual. Janine leads the way into a bigger office in here, and you pass through this selection of people. Some of them dressed for combat, some of them dressed in normal office attire. Some others probably are ready for a trip downtown to just squeeze some information about somebody, so like casual clothes and other things. Everything leads into a new office, and you finally meet the boss, or what looks like to be the boss. He has the same. You recognize that his face kind of fit in the silhouette you saw into the video earlier. So, with a very broad accent, he introduces himself as Richard Roman. I'm your new boss. Welcome to Omega. Please have a seat, everybody. You sit, I'm guessing.
Where are the seats like in relation to him?
There are
How's
of
this set up?
yes, they are basically his desk, and there's 4 chairs in front. Jenny stays standing at his side.
So it's like at the end of like The Apprentice.
Yes, precisely. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Shark Tank.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Shark Tank. Yeah.
Order
Yep.
takes whichever one is furthest away.
Okay.
Jakob mutters under his breath towards the rest of the group. I bet he has Mr. Stud's sexual implant.
Ooh.
And then takes a seat.
Okay.
Okay.
Um.
Vern sits down, but looks over her shoulder questioningly. Have we stepped into the CIA or what?
So, welcome to Omega. I know that more than likely all of you have a lot of questions about this, about what you're gonna do here, and what are going to be your tasks, what are going to be, of course, the benefit, because at the end of the day, we are all here for the money. The age of heroes is long gone, and most of the times, people that work for us are just in for what they can get out of this job rather than what they can give to this job. So I'm assuming that you are probably on the same length wave, but I will be happy to be um, impressed of the opposite. Um, your first day in here, it will be more than like an introduction of what we do and how we do stuff. And while he says that, the windows behind him that were like closed with like a sort of um, automatic closing, serrated shutters, they start to lift up and open, and you see the bright light of the sun coming through the windows, and you realize that you are quite high in this building. By a rough estimate, you think you're probably on the around the 70th floor of the entire building. The building has probably uh, 90 floors ish. You don't know exactly because you've never been in this building, but you assume you're quite at the top. Um, you see the city in front of you in a very different way than the usual one. You always see it from way below, and most of the time is pollution, smog, and fumes and rain most of the time. In a very, very Blade Runner-esque scenario. And seeing the city in this different way, it gives a different hint of how life probably was uh, before in the past, when there was no pollution, there was no uh, breakdown of the economy, and everybody was living a normal life. So this little bit of insight on this nice morning, or I will say nearly afternoon, it kind of strikes you a little bit of hope and sadness at the same time.
Shiny and prosperous.
Yeah, shining prosperous as it was compared to what you actually know from the way below down there. So first question, of course, Janine told me that you were kind of curious about what we are and why we are here and how we've been hidden so long. So first of all, as Janine said, we are an independent company. We work our own contract. We receive sometimes contract for our friendly corporation that provide us with materials, technology, weapons, equipment in general. So sometimes we do favors to them by solving some of their issues. but I would say that 90% of the cases we take are independent, and we decide what cases we get and what cases we refuse, because we also have that choice. You never heard of us because we know how to do our job very well in terms of hiding. These windows around me, they actually you see through them to the outside like it is normally a window, but somebody from the outside currently, if he peeks inside his window, will see an empty office. There is a technology that we developed that basically hides the content of these floors, and they look vacant. So even if somebody tries to spy from outside, they will just see vacant floors, nothing inside, like an abandoned floor waiting for being rented or assigned. Our offices span from the 75th floor, which is this currently one, up to the floor that is the, wait a second, sorry guys, 78th. So there's 36, 7, 8. So 4 floors of offices with different tasks.
What such tasks?
Well, we have different departments. So the one you are currently here is the office work. So after a case, of course, you've been in a police station, after a case is completed or a case is doing investigation, we have to do paperwork, so we have to do investigations here. We have all our terminals are here. So if you are doing investigation, this is probably going to be the floor you're going to spend most of the time. We have a research and development department upstairs. We have a med bay. We have an armaments and equipment department. And also we have an hangar. The hangar is linked to the top of the building. The top of the building, again, it is a dome. There's a dome that is, of course, shielded. You might think, oh, but they will be seeing something going out of this dome, and they will see, oh, but there's somebody there. All our flying vehicles, helicopters or other ones you will discover soon, are always cloaked. We try to act very stealthy when we do things.
No, I understand the NDA.
Yeah, because we don't want to be of harm to anybody else, and we don't want to be seen because we prefer to be incognito, like somebody would say. So, does anybody have any questions at the moment before we go on?
Is there a employee car park?
Yes, there is an employee car park, which is a nice question there, straight to the point. The employee car park is underground.
So is there some sort of mess hall cafeteria as well? Because 70 floors back down for lunch kind of
We have indeed a lunch area at the 78th floor.
Okay.
So all the human needs are satisfied here. We actually have 4 different types of cuisine in this cafeteria. So you might try different taste every time.
Might get some decent food other than roadkill for a change.
More than likely, I'm pretty sure that it will be better than roadkill. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Jakob?
I just said I could eat.
Okay, well, we're gonna go there very soon. So, the next big question I'm assuming is why us? Probably. As probably Janine said to you earlier, and I'm pretty sure she already did. We searched the net, and we had other contacts of previous employee, or in general, we know what you did and how you did things in the past. You might not know us, but we kind of know a lot of people in here in Night City. We've been here for the last 25 years, so we've seen a lot of things happening. And we started very small, but then we grew up, and then we are here now, trying to protect this city from itself. It's a hard job, and we always need, don't take me wrong, fresh blood. So, with further ado, our technicians are preparing your working kit while we speak. This working kit will include several tools of the trade and several other things you might need on the way while you're doing tasks for us. But before any other question being asked, there is any one of you that actually need a stable housing?
I'm good.
I could do with it.
Okay, so
I mean, I did just get fired.
yes, we sadly we know that as well. So if you want, in this exact building, at floor 36, there is a series of apartment, not fancy stuff, but decent living, connected with everything that we can offer. And there's a couple of vacant ones if anybody else want to relocate in here to be closer to your new, I would dare to say, family.
That's presumptive, but okay.
So, Mr. Jakub, you would like to have one of them?
Yes.
Cool. I will make sure that you receive your keys by the end of today. Um, he turns his head to the window, and you clearly see that there is a sort of implant in his ear, probably a phone call received. And okay. Sure, perfect. Okay. My technician has just communicated me that they have prepared everything for your induction into the building and induction into the agency. So, if you have any questions, please feel free. If you don't, we can provide you your welcome package, and without stressing it too much, we can see you tomorrow for your first assignment.
I have one question, Richard. I don't know if you're able to answer it.
Yeah.
You mentioned this is a family.
Mm-hmm.
What role do you see yourself in this family?
Well, I don't want. This is a complicated question. Yes.
He is patriarch.
Yes, Jakub.
He pays the bills.
I pay the bills, and I pay your bills, and I pay and make sure that you stay alive.
So are you a father or a sugar daddy then?
Well, he laughs at you by quite a broad laugh.
Yeah, Brandon's face is straight. He's asking genuinely this question.
I
Oh
would
my
consider
God.
myself more like a father figure. I don't
Okay.
need to be a sugar daddy because usually a sugar daddy gives without expectation. I give, but I'm expecting a lot.
I understand. Thank you for your candor.
So, any other questions?
When
Looking
do we
at
get
everybody.
paid?
When do I get my gun back?
All your equipment is currently being checked, fixed in case it was malfunctioning. And
My equipment never malfunctions.
well, there's always a first time, isn't it?
No, Vern is
not first
bristling.
time.
My gun is personal. Nobody should be touching.
If there's nothing to touch, I'm pretty sure that it will be perfectly like you left it. We don't want our agents to be using malfunctioning equipment. We're just checking just in case.
Understand.
So everything that you left at the entrance will be given to you in a moment. So is that it for today, guys?
When do we get paid?
I'm guessing orientation's tomorrow.
Yes, sorry. Order what you said?
When do we get paid?
You get paid on a weekly basis.
How much?
Your salary will be currently of 2,500 a week.
Yeah, that's good by me.
As I said, it's a high risk, high payout. There are, of course, bonuses for handling jobs in the right way. Any more questions?
And I assume that this is arranged with the human resources department.
Of course, as per your signing the non-disclosure agreement and accepting to be part of this agency, we opened for you a bank account in our private bank, and your salary will be deposited there, and we will be giving you access to this account whenever you want. Any more questions?
I'm good.
Good. I'm glad we are on the same page and on the same board and everything else. So, Janine will take you out, will guide you to your office table whenever you need to be at the office, and then tomorrow we're gonna show you your working stations. Okay? So I will see you tomorrow. And Janine basically open the doors for you and lead you out of the office.
Brendan will stand up and extend his hand to the man and say, "Thank you, Richard. I look forward to working with you."
I like it as well. I would like that as well. Sorry, guys. Choking with water is always nice.
Oof, yeah,
Sorry.
that's all right. Does he shake my hand back, or does he not
Yes.
touch me?
Very vigorously.
Okay. Okay.
Jakob goes to shake his hand.
Yes, you both. You both notice when you shake his hand that his handshake is quite strong, and you hear a very hinted, slight hiss of pneumatic compression. And it's not a destroying handshake, but it's a firm handshake with a controlled strength applied. Like the arm that is doing this is actually in some kind augmented. But the hand itself feels absolutely human. Okay?
Vern avoids the handshake and merely nods.
Okay.
Jakob says, "Thanks, Dick." Couldn't resist.
Roger just stays quiet. takes a cue from Vern, gives the boss a 2-finger scout salute, and turns to leave.
Okay.
Wow.
Exactly.
Manners.
Janine goes out and leads you to the um, drop place for all your equipment. You have been given um, a new pass in addition to your elevator pass that you still need to use. And this pass is your picture with all your biometric details imprinted inside this card. And in addition to that, you get a kit, which is a medikit and a spray skin for healing some wounds. Not, of course, you can't heal a hole from a bullet, but you can do a very beginner level first aid. All your initial
So
equipment.
cuts and stuff.
Sorry, cuts and stuff
So
and other
cuts and stuff, yeah.
yes, and painkillers and other things like that. It's the tablets that are inside there are basic painkillers, but they are branded Omega. There's no other branding of other pharmaceutical company besides branding Omega. Okay.
Is there anything else we can tell about these pills from looking at them?
They look fairly similar to the ones you usually have in a normal chemist as basic
So it's
painkillers.
just basic first aid.
Yes, basic first aid, basic painkiller.
But Omega.
Yes, Omega branded, and it all occupies probably 6-7 is like a little box, a metallic box, 6-7 centimeters long and probably 3-4 centimeters tall.
And how many of these are there in this?
One for each of you.
What, just one tablet each?
No. There is one kit for each of you, and the tablets
Right.
are 20 tablets in each box.
Okay.
Taking one per application. That's what the doctor said. Janine breaks into this analysis of the tablets that you are doing, and she says, we analyzed your allergies and your issues, and make sure that these will not cause any troubles if you take them. You can trust us, she says. We know how to do these things.
Janine, I'm curious, Janine.
Yes.
Yourself and Richard said that this organization is secret, yet you brand your agent Kit. Can you explain that, please?
Of course, if you're using this on you, we are assuming that you are in trouble. If you get caught, we are assuming that you're going to deal with the fact that you're being caught in other ways. So we're making sure that basically you're not leaving out witnesses.
So we're proposed to take care of matters.
Yes.
Why the pictures on the cards then?
The picture of the card has been used only when you enter in the building. The moment you enter the building, the passcode has been left inside the building, and you get out of the building through other means. It's a one way in, one way out. The picture disappears outside this building. It becomes a white blank card with no signs. The moment you step into the elevator and use your first card for the Omega, the one that you came here with, the picture of your pass appears again. This is a special technology that gets activated only inside this building. You never actually heard about anything like this in your entire life.
Janine, I'm curious, once we leave your facility, how closely are you going to be monitoring our activity?
Well, it all depends. If it is a normal investigation, you go about in Night City with your own gear, your own clothing. We don't monitor you if you're doing normal investigation, because otherwise it would be silly. If you get caught, then there's a lot of things to be explained. If there is any deep action, we're going to provide you gears and tracking systems that can be used to see your activity, like special operations,
Okay.
The moment you are out. Yes, go on.
No, I'm just very, very suspicious.
Suspicious of what?
Considering the level of subterfuge that's going on here, I find it hard to believe that a simple NDA agreement is going to be enough to keep eyeballs within the building and not following us around.
Well, and she moves a little bit away from everybody else because she wants to talk to you privately, guys. The NDA is very strict and more than likely will be applied if you, how can I say it in nice ways? If you break this NDA, your existence will be erased. And she has the most blank of the faces when she says that. Nobody will ever know that you ever existed.
I'm familiar with this.
So breaking the NDA will break your existence in this. So family, friends, nobody will ever know you existed.
That's pretty standard.
I mean, in the scheme of things, it's understandable. I
So
just,
we
I don't trust.
We give you freedom while you're outside this building to conduct your investigation the way you are used to do this type of things. We expect professionality when you are into deep operations, and those are the ones we actually actively monitor. We have a sequence of not implants, sorry. This is Alberto using the wrong role, not Janine, sorry. We have, we have a sequence of measures to make sure that you will not break the NDA. But of course, we can't cover all. So that's left to you at this point.
Claudia is very suspicious of her fingertips all of a sudden.
Jakob is very suspicious of the card.
Okay.
Janine,
Yes.
what's your favorite color?
What?
Purple.
Fine color. Nice.
What is your favorite color, Brandon?
I try not to be limited by a color spectrum. It really depends on my emotional center at that point, but I'd say right now I'm a reddish orange.
Good to know.
Oh, Brandon's gonna be our mood ring.
Exactly. The mood ring. Exactly. So, do you have any other questions?
What's a mood ring?
The chat is gonna be a little bit crazy at the moment, but hey, that's how it is. Yeah. So if you don't have any more questions, we can see in the morning.
That's good to me.
See you bright and early.
Fantastic. We start usually at 9:30 in the morning.
We make it
Of
10.
course, Jakub,
See you at 10.
yeah, Jakub, in your
Yeah.
kit,
I'm with
there's
him.
also the keys for your apartment.
Brandon turns to the rest of the group and says, Does anyone want to go and get a drink somewhere nearby? Get to know each other?
If you're paying Ace.
What she said.
What she's okay. So there's quite a few places in the area. Let me double check in the B3 district. Let me double check. I have all the possible solution in the B3 district, which is
I think I've got a pretty good read of these three people, and maybe a bar like in the corporate area probably isn't the best place to go. Would that be like?
I don't think that's too much of a stretch. Potentially not
Yeah.
something where the average Joe is hanging out after their night.
then probably the city center A3 is probably the best area for you guys. Double checking.
At this point, Vern is just following because she's immune.
Yes. Okay, West Block. Fantasy. Okay. I'm just double checking if there is anything good in terms of already existing ones. Otherwise, I would just invent something on the spot, which is perfectly fine.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think you want to go in a building that has like loan center or a mall that has nothing inside. Right, there should be a map in
Although
here.
this party, day drinking at a mall car park kind of sounds fun.
That sounds like an afternoon to me.
That's a brown bagger, yeah.
If you
It's
want,
5 o'clock somewhere.
If you want, in the city center there is a fantastic Chinese restaurant called Wing Chang.
Great,
I
let's
can
go.
do a bit of
Yeah.
Chinese.
You can do a bit of Chinese.
Noodles.
Okay. So, if you want, Jakub, you can take possession of your apartment first to drop your stuff in. If you want to. Before meeting back with the others. Yes? No?
Yeah, I'll make sure I get my gun.
Yes. No. You get. Everybody gets everything back. That's of course the thing that is happening.
Okay. As long as I've got that, I'm good.
Yes, you got everything. You take the there's another lift at the floor. Actually, no, sorry, apologize. Have to take the lift down the bottom and take a normal lift to go to your apartment. Because this lift, of course, takes you only there. So you basically go down with everybody else's, and you take a normal lift and you go to the floor 35.
So all of us will congregate outside the
Yeah.
actual building waiting for...
Yes. The usher is still outside. Looking outside the door and scouting and looking at people. Jakub,
Jakub glares at the usher on the way out.
Yes. Jakub, your apartment is pretty neat. It's a one-bedroom apartment. You have a nice living room, kitchen, of course, bathroom, and it's pretty open space and very clean and tidy and very futuristic look.
Cool.
Is already with the furniture inside, of course. In addition to that, inside you also have a personal computer, sort of laptop.
Right. Well, Jakob arrives late because he takes a shower first.
Okay.
I was just. This is completely out of character. I was just going to put that out there.
But the clothes still smell. Sorry.
Thank God for nasal filters.
You
Exactly.
actually find in the bedroom a wardrobe with very basic clothing, like casual but not too flashy. If you want to.
Okay, then he gets changed.
Okay. They basically, while you were doing your medicals, probably they also did your measuring at the same time, and they told this information probably to somebody that actually got your measure pretty damn right, and provided you some, as I said, very basic t-shirts, trousers, jacket, shoes. And
Yeah, that works.
yeah, that works. So you, after probably half an hour, you reach them at the bottom, and you go out for a Chinese meal. Up to you now, guys. What you want to do is completely to you guys. But how you want to interact. I'm just here, sitting down and listening to you guys. If you want to.
So we were just talking about our favorite color. What was yours, Jacob?
It's Jakob, not Jacob. Get right.
So the emphasis is on the carb rather than the yay. It's Jakob.
Yak
Is
instead
Jakob.
of.
Jakob.
Jacob.
Repeat, Jakob.
Jakob.
Yes.
It
Close.
is close enough. Favorite color, red.
And not much has
I
been
say he says nothing more. He just glares at Brandon.
Okay.
Is this part of your psychology background or medical background that you're asking these questions? Also, Vern orders a round of whatever's.
Yeah, you get the pretty standard menu from any Chinese. Probably it is one of the better Chinese you ever tasted. So it's not like the best in your memory, but it's quite
pretty
close.
good.
But it's pretty good, yes.
Okay.
The place is very clean, and the inside there are few customers. Is not completely packed. There's a couple of tables, but it seats probably there are 15 tables in total, and 12 you're included have people on them. Not completely full, but they're occupied.
Are the ingredients like fresh food or is it synth?
It tastes and smells like fresh food.
Oh wow!
It's
Okay.
totally synth.
It's
So
totally synth.
not-
Wow.
It's really good synth.
It's really good synth. No, it is
expensive synth.
expensive.
Top quality synth, yeah.
Hey, beats roadkill.
Beats roadkill, exactly.
And look, I haven't seen broccoli in a long time.
Yeah,
What's broccoli?
Exactly.
exactly. That's the feeling. Yes. So, as long as you want to interact with each other, please feel free to do it. If you don't, the night goes pretty smooth, and customers go in and out, tables get served and cleaned. So, like a normal activity of a Chinese restaurant. Busy, but not overly busy. Unless you say something else, guys.
Yeah, I'd probably inquire about. It's fairly obvious that I'm a medical technician and I ask questions. So it's a case of asking the group like what speciality they could bring to our group.
Jakob answers in very short sentences, very, very to the point, not really elaborating on much. Just says cyberware. That's my main thing.
Okay. What the order says?
Order just looks up from her rather plain-looking noodles and says, "Well, if you need someone to drive, I'll drive. If you need someone quietly picked off, well, you won't see me, and neither will they."
That explains. And what about Vern?
Vern is quietly eating some what could be a meat over rice. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not
Tastes like
enjoying
beef.
it or
Tastes
not
like
enjoying it. You know. Yeah. And just speaks in generalities here. There are wings and dings that are going to need patching up. I'm guessing in the field. I try to hand them out, not get them, so I wouldn't worry too much about.
Cool. Is the question satisfying? The answer satisfying you, Brendan?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of other small talk about like favorite rocker boys or what their favorite drink is, and those sort of like small talk things that he just asked.
Yes. Oh, by the way, it is not Soylent Green. It is not
Delicious
Soylent Green,
people meat.
clearly.
Soylent Green is people.
Oh,
It's synthetic Soylent Green, so it's
Exactly.
fake people.
so it's
Oh my god, that makes it worse.
It is synth Soylent Green.
Oh,
We
God.
can agree, though, that anything that we can't identify tastes like chicken anyway, so
Yes,
it doesn't matter.
precisely. But the more you eat this meal, it more it feels homemade, and it doesn't feel like anything made in a laboratory or anything like that.
So potentially it could just be a very upscale, rare,
Yeah.
expensive restaurant.
Yes, although the prices being slightly above the general Chinese prices you can see throughout Night City, it is slightly above, but the quality it is not reflected in the price. Means that the quality is higher than the price you're paying, and yet you're paying quite a cheap price for this meal.
What does the bill come out to in total?
It comes out to $80.
I pick up the bill
Okay.
and pay it in entirety, and I leave €50
Okay.
tip.
Okay.
Vern notices this and raises an eyebrow, but doesn't say anything.
Okay.
Order questions where his wallet is.
Jakob rolls his eyes, and as we leave.
Okay. Fair enough. So I'm assuming that everybody goes back to their own houses, or
Well, I go to
refuge.
my new fancy house,
You
apparently.
go back to your new fancy house. Yes, you got upgraded. Upgraded to first class ish.
How's the bed?
Very comfortable. Very, very
Does it
comfortable.
vibrate?
No, it doesn't have the Mr. Stodd implanted in there.
Okay. Sorry.
It doesn't have the Mr.
No
Stodd.
fancy finger work, Chris.
Wow. Wow.
I tried for
As if it was
Jakob.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, Order is, not quite sure where her group has roamed off to tonight, so she just heads over to East Marina to chill for a while.
Okay.
Find somewhere to bed down for a bit.
Okie dokie, no problem. Your venture to East Marina is pretty uneventful. You see, of course, bad things happening in the street, but you try to keep yourself aside to any trouble or anything else. Not something major. There's no big crime happening.
Just a
but
standard crime in the
standard
night.
crime in a very rundown part.
Would it Would Vern notice, provided that we're heading in the same direction, that Brandon is heading in the same area? I mean, a little bit further out.
Yes. Well, you enter in the same district, but then it takes a different detours towards the medical center area. If you see if you see the map currently here, imagine your house being in the block just above the B3 written. There's like a little rectangle above the B3. That's
Yeah,
basically,
it's right directly down the road from the med center.
yes, and basically he goes through the main road, and his building block, your building block, Brandon, is where the B of B4 is.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say it was probably an uneventful walk back there, but
Yes.
she's curious about his background.
Okay, you can interact between you two guys. It's perfectly fine if you want to.
Sure, yeah, like if it's the walk back to the Omega building, other than that, he'd probably get in his car afterwards. But on the walk back, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Heading back to the main building.
Sure.
Vern would. So, I'm gonna guess your background is not combat, but more professional.
It's where I find myself in my life right now, yeah.
So, I would have to ask. You don't have to answer, obviously. Why immediately jump on this job? I can see the other two definitely doing this. Obviously, this is without earshot of the other two, by the way.
Yes,
we've all gone
I
our separate.
assumed.
Why jump on this job as a medical professional?
Well, sure, the money isn't as good as I could get in the private sector. It is a pay cut for me, the 10,000 a month. But how often do you get to be in an organization or working with people that deal directly with what it is to be human?
Vern would be, at this point, a little bit deep in thought. These interesting words for her. Very interesting words. So, strictly speaking, this is an experiment for you. Are we an experiment?
This is professional development. I asked about the cyber squads specifically by name. These are organizations that the police department, security forces have in hunting down those afflicted by cyberpsychosis. It's something that intrigues me, what it is to be human and where is our breaking point as a species to where we start to associate ourselves with the machine more than what we're born into.
I have to say, given my limited history with you, I won't delve too deep, but personally, for me, I've gone out of my way to stay away from cybernetics. I feel I do my best work holding on to humanity. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this corporation handles these cases, what they're asking of us as a group. But I'll turn to you if I feel myself slipping at all.
Feel free to. I mean, I too am intrigued. It's rare that you see such. I mean, her bodyguards were fitted out for combat, for war in the corporate sector. That's a red flag for.
Vern would be completely cracking up at this. You're not the only one who noticed this. I was expecting this level of security coming in here, but it's very rare to find a corporation that's this well hidden for this long. So I don't think we're going to be just chasing scrubs through the streets.
Well, if you watch my back in terms of the corporation and how it works, I'll watch your back in terms of those slipping away from what unites us as people.
Vern, would be getting closer to the building at this point? I would assume it's not
Yes.
that long of a walk.
So, just to give you more of a insight of where you actually live, that block I just marked for you, which is this one here. I'm gonna see if I can actually use the tool of the trade, and maybe not. I'm very noob to this system, so I'm gonna try.
You should be able to ping them out.
Yeah, probably yes. Well, yes, I'm gonna understand how to use this thing at some point. But yeah, the block just above the B3, the little rectangle there, is Mancini's. Mancini's is a large, expensive department store where you can find almost any luxury item. Has apartments on the higher floor. So you're basically living on top of a very, very expensive department store.
Interesting. I was just saying because in terms of if he was taking a car back to the medical center at all, or if we were walking from the restaurant to where did we take a car? Because I believe he arrived by car.
Yeah, you arrived by car. You basically if he's driving, he parked just in front of you. If you want to tell him the direction, otherwise you can tell him to drop you somewhere else, and you will walk from there to your.
Yeah, because she wouldn't just outright say drop me off in front of my apartment building,
Yes,
like at
that's
all. So
perfectly
I'm
fine.
going to say that she gives directions within a block
Okay.
and a half from where she actually lives, and we'll take a rather long walk around just to make sure she's not being followed. But before that, would offer her hand officially in handshake to him and say, well, I look forward to working with you and watching your back.
Okay.
As do I. And he shakes her hand.
Okie dokie. Your apartment, Brandon, is located where I said the B4 is written on the map, but more precisely, it is a building, quite a tall building, in front of the police department. You've chosen this location because you wanted the best possible security for yourself, and you made sure that, of course, being high enough in terms of floor, also your entire apartment is soundproof to avoid the sirens and everything else that can come from a police station.
Got you. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
Yes. For what concerns order, your trip to the East Marina is, as I said, uneventful. Although in the East Marina there are quite a lot of warehouses. Some of them are occupied, some of them have people working in, but most of them are empty or run down. But again, your traveling towards the marina is almost uneventful.
Almost
Uneventful. Yeah, as I said, the petty crimes while you walk, but you know how to hide yourself from the sight. So if you want to disappear, you know how to disappear. So the moment you feel that there is trouble, you are quite quick in snap out of view and just make your way out of the situation.
That I am.
For what concerns Jakub, you basically you get a taxi paid by your new
Family.
Jakob is pampered.
Yeah, I'm totally getting pampered here. It's great.
It's fantastic. Yes, you see all the lights of Night City, and it has been a while that actually you've been this close to the center, and for you has been quite of a sort of wonderland journey. You've been used to much more uh, poorer environments, or weirder environments even.
Oh, definitely weirder.
Yes, if I remember right. And but
Pirates and all that.
yeah, exactly. And so for you, all these bright lights and life in the street and everything else, even, dining in a restaurant for you is something that is quite alien in terms of habit. So when you retire to your new apartment and you drop down in your bed, you almost instantly fall asleep into a very gentle and probably deserved rest. Not because you were drugged or anything else. It's just because this new environment is a sensory overload. Let's just say.
So he just passes out from just like for being overwhelmed.
For being overwhelmed by look,
from the
life,
MSG in the food.
life. I see
Yeah,
life.
there was something in that Chinese.
Yeah, clearly. But he got 5 stars out on TripAdvisor, so
5 stars.
yes,
Totally didn't taste like people.
exactly.
Not at all.
So, are you
I
doing
can't believe it's not synthetic.
exactly? Besides the Audrey still wandering about and having a walk around, and Jakub passing out. Is anything else you're gonna do as a night ritual?
I'd say Jakob would have checked the apartment over
Yes, of
for
course. Yes, yeah. Before dozing off, yes.
for cameras, etc.
Okay. As far as you can tell, with your tools and your experience, nothing is bugged. Nothing is wired. There is pretty much standard, normal living spaces.
It's not monitored at all.
No. And you checked all around. You checked the usual spots. You checked some of the unusual spots. You even checked. You did a scan of the laptop they're giving you. Pretty standard, out of fabric, out of factory laptop. Basic programs installed. The TV, basic TV. Nothing fancy, nothing too much technological. It's not a 20,000 euro box TV. It's just a normal flat screen. Pretty basic furniture level.
And what's security like in the apartment complex?
Well, the security in the
Or the building, I
it,
should say.
it is a quite considering that there is several offices in the entire building, and some are actually corporation build floors in there. The security in the general building is pretty high. The residential area starts at your floor and goes up to 10 floors, but there is like a sort of reception when you arrive, and there is a general security. So there's a like the receptionist has monitors on the corridors and so on. So it's
Right.
pretty decent. So anything else from you guys if you want to do?
Brandon would, well, as soon as he gets into his apartment, take his hair out of his high top knot, put his equipment in its place, light his incense, and meditate on the day's activities.
Okay.
Or do, well, find somewhere quiet, set up her little pitch against her motorbike, and get some sleep, just watching the stars as she always does.
Fantastic. And
Jakob would throw his clothes into the corner and jump into bed
yes, and fall asleep instantly.
instantly. And
Then-
not set an alarm or anything like
No,
that.
the alarm is for other people. Then
Yeah, alarms are for people with
Vern-
shit to do.
yes.
Vern would remove the hair tie from her dreads, change into more comfortable clothing, but start running searches on Richard and the company and anything assuming that nature, because she wants to know.
Yes. The search you can do is quite an extensive one, but all the results that you receive are pretty inconclusive. There is
Which she
no,
expects.
there is no trace of anything. According to the uh, estate agents, those 3 floors have been empty for the last 40 years.
Okay.
Four floors, sorry. 4 floors of.
She's just doing a thorough check, making sure everything pans.
Yes.
And with that, after that, she would probably just
So,
pass.
yeah, basically, you kind of find the plans of the building, and the building has been built in 1980, and those floors has never been, according to what the state agent says and the plans says, they've never been used since then. Say status currently vacant.
So they really are a ninja corporate.
Good at covering their tracks.
Yeah.
I'm expect. Yeah, I mean, no, she expects nothing less. This is pretty much a step up, actually, from where she was at. So she's impressed.
Okay, so we can move to the morning after, and Jacob, you get a phone call on your phone, basically a sort of alarm to get waken up
Great.
to go to work.
At what time was this?
You get a phone call at 9:30, so you're already late. You are not late because it's 10 a.m. in the morning that you start, so you have half an hour to get ready.
Jakob quickly showers, gets his clothes on, the new clothes. The really, what was it? The not too fancy looking clothes that they came with.
Yeah, it's pretty. You classify them as pretty boring.
Pretty boring.
Yes.
Okay. Puts the pretty boring clothes on. Takes his jacket with Colt in pocket
Yes.
and
Fantastic.
makes his way over there for about 10:30.
Okay. Okay. Clearly. Um, you kind of arrive to the building almost at the same time ish, except Jakob, and you are, I would say, in time. You have time for a coffee or a light breakfast if you didn't have any when you woke up in the cafeteria. Pretty good food as well. And the good thing about that is that you don't have to pay for it. It's provided by the corporation. So that's another plus. Um, you gather, almost all of you, around 11 in the meeting room for the first meeting. And you see um, the boss, Richard, and Janine next to him. And they are in a room similar to the first one you saw, Richard. So there's a conference table, 4 chairs for you. Janine stands next to um, Roman, and there's a holo screen behind them. So doors get closed, the windows go curtains down to create darkness inside the room, and the holo projector lights up with the uh, what looks like to be your first task. And Richard Roman says, start to talk to you in this way. So I know this is probably not the best time to throw you into the deep end, but why not test your investigation skills already with something that we've been working a little recently, but we needed more I would call it manpower, and so we need of course, new blood, as we said earlier. And I'm gonna try to see if you're up for this task. So, an image of a man comes into the holo screen, and he says, "This person his name is Socrates Dracos." I'm gonna write it down in the chat here for you to actually see how it is spelled. That one. Uh, Greek origins, and you probably might know him because he's one of those. Probably this is the most famous preacher on television. He's not a normal preacher. He claims he is the leader of the Church of Divine Enlightenment. And he's not a real church, everybody knows that, but he has sadly a lot of followers. But mostly it is a cult, and a cult that predicts the end of the world in old-fashioned ways, like fire and brimstone from the sky. In addition to that, his idea of preventing this end of the world is by arming each other against this apocalypse. And this is done by severe body augmentations. Most of his followers are quite deep into the extensive modification of their body for the purpose of, I would say, fight or violence in general. And although his plan, ideally, this ideal world is arming people to not fall into this apocalypse, in reality, everybody knows that Socrates is not just a television preacher. He has, and we have investigated for many years, an extensive chain of operations that are not of the most legal ones, and nobody can ever prove anything because either the witnesses disappear in thin air, or corruption arrives and cops deny, other agency deny that I never been there, he never did anything like that. So this is why we are here to prevent this type of things to happen. And his crime schemes that we can gather, and another map of activities appears on the holo screen, with Socrates at the center, and there is we've known that in the past he infiltrated in companies like the Trauma Team, the Arasaka, and the Militech. We know that his ties with local gangs, and we know that of course his fixed point is the body modification part. He himself has two cyber arms and a leg, already been very visible in his shows on television, so he doesn't hide them. He actually is proud of them. And we also know that there is something else hidden somewhere in the lines of his activities that we can't still place. Still, we know that he's trying to do something out of these things we already said, but we don't know as of yet what he's preparing. That will require more study and more investigation. He takes a pause and looks at Janine and says, and he nods at Janine and says, "Okay, I have to have a disclaimer now. The next images you're gonna see are a bit crude, and the ties of all the schemes of Aristotle, of Socrates Dracos, disappears, and you see a picture on the screen of a man that has his leg has been severed completely, and he's in an alley with blood all over the place without legs. What are your first reactions at this?
Are they his actual legs, or are they cyber legs being taken off?
By that picture, you don't really get if there are real legs missing or cyber legs missing. You just know that the legs are missing entirely, and there's just the torso
So
there.
so the legs are completely out of frame. It's just a
Yes,
torso without legs.
torso and arms and head, of course, but legs are completely out of the place.
Audio wouldn't really react to it. Like, she'd make a face, but she didn't really react to that.
Okay.
Brandon would lean into the torso and just see if he, with his medical eye, could see how the removal of the legs was done, whether it was done like with brute force or sawed off or with a skill.
From what you can tell from this picture alone, it's a quite enlarged picture, of course. So it's not very defined, but the what you see it has been using a laser saw, but badly
Okay.
because there's still quite a lot of blood. So it didn't cauterize the socket of the legs properly. They try to do a clean job, but there is inexperience probably on who did this job on the use of the laser saw.
So professional equipment, but untrained.
Untrained, yes.
Got it.
So the man in the picture, Richard Roman says, his name is Trevor Bassett. He was a former soldier. He lost his legs in an ambush while in the war zone, and got both leg replaced by implants. After his service in the army, he decided to retire because mostly post-traumatic stress and everything else. So he decided to try to conduct a different life and help people, and he found quite um, refreshment into this by helping the Holy Angel Church, which is located in the North Side District A2.
His legs were they standard issue, or were they special in any kind of way?
They were better quality than the standard issues, but without anything fancy in them. So they didn't have hidden compartments or anything else. It was legitimately better quality prosthetics. Uh, so good. A normal person will get probably very bad quality. This has been paid by somebody with a little bit of money, I would say.
These are military issue because he's former military, and then
Probably yes.
afterwards they. Okay. Out of curiosity, is this man well known in any social circles?
No, he's not known in any social circle. He was very well known into the church. He was helping um, upkeeping the church itself.
So a good Samaritan with
Good Samaritan, yes,
cyber.
yes, with the cyber legs, yes. And the reason why I'm bringing this person to your attention, and this picture has been taken by the local police um, 3 days ago. Um, the reason why is because we know that Socrates uses local bands to conduct his activities, and one of the band that um, patrol the North Side district is a band called the Slaughterhouse.
So they're using harvested cyberware to outfit people,
Yes,
their
precisely.
followers.
Particularly his group, his followers.
Yes.
Yes. So, yes, but you already came to the conclusion. So we are pretty sure that Socrates is using these gangs to do dirty jobs, to bring second-hand, well, second legs in this case,
Second leg, yeah.
to his
But
organization to be refitted to purposes. Because most of the times, if you have to fit new stuff, you need to go to procedure to have codes being registered in archives, and with used technology, you can always wipe them clean and just a bit of a lick of paint and everything seems new.
And if I had to hazard a guess, would I be right in assuming that Socrates' own cyber limbs are of higher quality than that of his followers?
Oh, of course, he swims in money.
But he's registered as a cyber user.
Yes, precisely. All his implants that we know of are legally registered and are basically in the archive.
So we have a lot of hidden followers running around with implants that are unregistered, basically.
Yes, precisely.
Okay.
So, I would suggest, if you want, that you can try to investigate a little bit more the area around where the fact has been happening using your expertise. So, for example, Mr. Brandon could give an insight on all these cyber implants being used and how they feel and everything else. So, and I'm also pretty sure that your verbal skills as well could be helpful on gather information. Your expertise, Miss Verne, in the battlefields and combat could try to determine and give protection, of course, to the investigation, because let's not be kid ourselves, that area is rough. And you both, Order and Jakub, could provide insight in the technology and maybe getting some more hidden information of what is the reality of this situation. Sounds okay for you guys?
Yep.
It's perfect.
Sure.
And with this news, we're gonna end for tonight.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm all ready, me.
Okay.
So Chinese? No.
Chinese.
Our regular place.
Oh, I'm down for more Chinese.
I need real Chinese now.
I need real Chinese now.
Questionable people meet.
Questionable people need. So I am hoping that this first session has been interesting for all of you guys, and I'm hoping that you'll be tuning in next week, same time, same place, with these fantastic people.
Thank you, Wochi.
And I
Thank you,
hope
Wochi.
everybody
Thank
here
you, Wochi.
watching. Thank
Thanks,
you guys.
mate.
And I hope everybody here watching actually had a good time. So let's find in good mood. Let's find somebody to raid, because this is still a stream and I want to raid people. Let's see if you can raid somebody. And there is a person that might like a little bit of visit. There is General Chaos Live. Let's see if he's still streaming. Stupid advertisement of Twitch.
Yeah, he's still going.
It's still going. He's playing Dead by Daylight. Great. So if you are a subscriber of the channel, please spam with the raid emote when we do the raid. And for everybody else, I hope you have a fantastic evening, and I hope to see you back next week, same time, same place. And have a good night, everybody. See ya. Bye bye. Ending the raid and the stream.